Hello, this is Cotton Stoops, and today's HTC video is on Roadterra. Roadterra has been ever so present ever since it has been released, and has stayed one of the strongest in its class for quite some time now, so why not talk about it? So today's video is all about Roadterra, from discussing the counters and checks and teammates that you'll need to know in order to know how to use Roadterra in a battle, and of course the basics like the roles and sets in order to build a Roadterra, and of course how to use Roadterra's offensive coverage. Today's video is all about how to use and counter Roadterra. Roadterra's role is an essential yet simple question to ask, and we can only answer it with its base stats. Its base stats are pretty simple, with its bad stuff being its HP and magical attack. However, it does get boosted by its ability confidence if you choose to run that ability. You also have good defensive stats but aren't going to be boosting that HP anytime soon, and a decent attack stat that will get boosted by confidence of 80. Not to mention that its best attack stat, or speed stat in this case, is 111, being able to outspeed doodles like Zapoera and possibly speed tie with Bunswirl and other doodles in its speed tier. So, what role does Roadterra play? It's going to be a fast and offensive cleaner, especially with your ability confidence, and it will need to double switch or revenge kill to get into the battle. There's one thing to note with Roadterra, and the fact is you have two immunities to electric and earth. This will give you some great swaps on most doodles, which will help you get into the battle and threaten doodles with your coverage. So with that out of the way, let's talk about Roadterra's offensive coverage. Roadterra's offensive coverage will consist of earth and air, and 6 types will be able to resist these zabs individually, those being plant, insect, air, spark, poison, and metal. You also do hit some of these back, specifically plant, insect, and metal, which will be pretty nice, and you do hit other types like the melee, fire, spark, crystal, and toxic type super effectively with your coverage. There is one thing to know about this, and that plant types can hit you back super effectively, which can be troublesome, especially with defensive stuff. Although you do have air coverage to hit them back super effectively, so just be aware of your matchups because you do have that low defensive stats. So with that out of the way, let's talk about Roadterra's set. So Roadterra will be running an offensive set that can be a cleaner, a wall breaker, just anything to boost its best attributes, its attack and speed. The ability will be confidence, so we can boost our defensive and offensive stats depending on what doodle will be in front of us. There is one thing to note, and that is a confidence will not work on doodles that have lower base stats on us. However, that is not a lot of doodles in this game, so you don't have to be worried about it too much. The boost will be in the attack and speed, and the moveset will be hit and run as our main move. This is so we can get out of the battle and scout out moves from the opponent. Savage Blow and Shatter and Heat Bash will be our remaining 3 moves, which will allow us to run enough coverage to take care of most of our walls. Of course, we still have some of our walls, but this will allow us to make sure that we do not get walled by a lot of things. And finally, the item of choice will be the champion belt. This is because we are running 4 items and we are a physical attacker, and our boosts will be into the attack and the speeds. And of course, run other items like the pendant here in place of the dusty bandana. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the offensive counters and checks, the defensive counters and checks, as well as your teammates. Offensive counters and checks are pretty simple. You just want to watch out for stuff that can outspeed you, specifically more speedy versions of the Jineko, which is a lot more common than you would think, and more speedy versions of Hibiscus and Bunswirl. Do note that other doodles like Metelytra and Zapoera can also try to outspeed you, but these guys have the best matchups against you. There's one thing to note, and that Zapoera and Metelytra and everything that other outspeeds you will 2-hit KO you, Oh, however, you also do 1-hit or 2-hit KO most of them, which is why these guys are here, because they can at least take a hit before 1-hit KOing or 2-hit KOing. And the defensive counter checks will be pretty simple as well. It will just be a bunch of doodles that can switch in. One of the best answers for this are Volta 2 and Scadian, both being able to resist as much of the coverage it can from Volta, and not from Volta, from Roadterra. Some more defensive versions of Monologue are also fine, and more heavy investment defenses like the Owl and Shamish will be pretty good too. Runewet naturally does pretty good against it as well, so you can run it as offensive or defensive, but I prefer the defensive one for Roadterras. And finally, teammates will be simple. You just want to run stuff that can take out earth types like Wolfreeze, Kelprimer, Abyssint, Lizar, Springling, Scadian, and Hollyhair. We can of course run other stuff that can take out water types like Zapoera, and the plant types like Lizar, Springling, and Hollyhair. There's just a bunch of options you can run with Roadterra, which makes it pretty good. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the conclusion and my thoughts on Roadterra. So yeah, I think Roadterra is really good. However, because I'm still new to the game, I am still trying to find the best ways to use it, and this video only helps me more. I've noticed that Roadterra does really well in more speedy versions of teams, but that's just me because I'm a hyper offense, bulky offense kind of guy. But Roadterra seems to be pretty good in most offensive oriented playstyles and can be pretty much what you want because of its speed tier and attacking stats. You want it to be a good wall breaker, you want it to hit hard while also being able to clean late game. You want it to sweep, believe it or not, that is a thing. With the range Roadterra can basically do anything you want it with an offensive Lumion. This is pretty great for Roadterra, so yeah. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed and got something out of it, and subscribe if you want to see more. Remember to join the Discord, and that Zulong, or not Zulong, but Pandishi is a dumpster fire.